Jedu Hor. Askabran Jeevarum must have eaten something that disagreed with me. Tis gladness to see you once more on this earth. Ahimish Breen.
Nahim Vihimi.
At last I saw you. We were lads. Running after the older boys with shinty sticks taller than ourselves. Sorry it must come to this. Away from Ken. Away from Scotland. I have kin with me now. And so I am content to die among my comrades.
All the way from Providence, Rhode Island in the Minute with Mary studio, welcome to Outlander Cast. It's a
Like, I know that we've been in Scotland this entire time, like, just as, like, logic.
In the 80s?
Well, but...
Oh, you mean, like... Okay.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But, like...
Yes, Jelly Bean.
Just the idea of going back to Scotland. That was one of my favorite scenes I think Outlander has ever produced. That ending was just... The boat. And walking up the stairs, and... Gregor, I don't even remember how to pronounce his last name. The guy just rocks. He does all the cool stuff, man. All the singing, singing that song. The whole thing just culminated into that one moment, and I really, really, really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Thought that was
beautiful.
Excellent.
It truly was beautiful.
And again, I know they've been filming in Scotland the whole time, so we've been seeing. I get it. All the nerds are gonna say that to me. I know, but it's just. Thematically and within the story, the context, the emotion, all of it, just seeing the shores of Scotland, and it just, oh man, good stuff, man. Love it.
I agree.
Love
I
it.
agree. There's just so much to love about this episode, so much to love about this season, and we are here to talk about 708. But before we do, we want to remind you that Blake and I keep busy during Droughtlander. First and foremost, we are going to be covering the Men in Kilts show, of course, with Sam and Graham,
Yes.
and we Dram.
Frog and
So
Toad.
we have got you covered, okay? For the first few weeks of Droughtlander, we're going to be hanging together, talking about all things New Zealand. Blake and I also have a slew of other podcasts, so if maybe this is the first season you've been tuning into us and you like our banter,
Welcome.
head on over to maryandblake.com. There you'll see all of the other podcasts that we do, and you'll also get a pop-up that will ask you if you want to get any emails from us. And this is for long-standing people and new people. You want to make sure that you're on our email list. If you like Outlander and things that Mary and Blake do, click both Outlander and the Mary and Blake. The Mary and Blake emails are more just general. Sometimes if we have multiple podcast episodes come out that week and just kind of like updates, you'll always want to make sure you definitely have clicked Outlander, but there's also going to be emails for Bridgerton, as well as Harry Potter.
Oh, yeah.
And who knows what else you might eventually get emails for. But head on over to maryandblake.com to make sure that you're on our email lists throughout Droughtlander.
Absolutely. And obviously, check us out on all the social media platforms. Just search Mary and Blake. You'll even see our own special little nerd group there. It's just called the Mary and Blake Facebook group. And you'll be able to chat with all the other nerds about Outlander and basically anything that you love. Whatever it is that you love, bring it to the group. And I'm sure that out of the 5,000 nerds that are there as of this moment, one of them loves the thing that you love. right? It's just gonna happen.
Agreed.
So there's even there's a sect of people who are just exclusively talking Star Trek Strange New Worlds, only because I started watching it. So I'm like, yes, I got my fellow nerds with me that can freak out about Captain Pike. So that is, I'm still on a mission to get Mary to watch that with me. By the way, we'll see what happens. I don't know. She can nerd out, but not that much.
Yeah.
All right, Marvin, are you ready to make a podcast? Or to at least get into this episode?
Yes, I am.
All right. Now, for those of you who are listening, you know that we have recently changed our intro song for getting into the recap, if you will. However, because the song has not been yet, I guess, publicly released to the world,
You've been getting trouble on YouTube.
Sony has decided that they were very unhappy with us putting it on our podcast.
So we'll go back to the old song.
So we will use our old song until at least it is released publicly to the world, and then we'll continue. So for now, we'll go back to the old song. All right, here we go. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it. All right, Marvin, this is the mid-season finale. That's right, it's episode 708. It is the mid-season finale for season 7, and it was entitled Turning Points. And I played that clip at the top of our episode for a reason. I mean, I feel like there was a number of different clips I could have played that would have fit properly, but I think the interaction between Jamie and his cousin, I think, is representative of, I think, the entire thematic point of this episode. And obviously, anytime I can get Angus McFadden into our intros, I'm gonna do it, right? Because the guy rocks. So, turning points, that's what it's called. There's many turning points for many a different character in this episode. The writer was Luke Scalhaas, who has been writing for Outlander in one form or another since season 3. He has written the episodes entitled Heaven and Earth, The Bakra, Wilmington, The Deep Heart's Core, Between Two Fires, Free Will, Hour of the Wolf, I Am Not Alone, and of course this episode, Turning Points. The director was Joss Agnew, who directed the last episode. And if you want to hear what they have done, just go back to our previous podcast episode and I go through all of the different shows that Joss has worked on, just in case you want to see any similarities or anything that is brought to light from the directing style of this episode in previous television shows. The kilt rating, though, Marvin, what are you giving this kilt? What are you doing? You're putting the phone right in front of the camera.
Sorry, I was taking a selfie. Okay, my kilt rating.
Oh, all right, here we go. You know what? Just for that, you're going to get your own camera. There we go. And I'm just going to go like this.
Okay.
All right, give me your kilt rating, Marvin.
My kilt rating for this episode is a 5.
Is a 5.
It's my favorite number. It's because I was born on Cinco de Mayo. 5-5.
Not a 5+.
Nope.
I'm surprised.
Sorry.
No, there's no need to be sorry.
Okay.
Like we've established here. You can't just go whipping out 5+ left and right. We ain't Oprah here.
Nope.
All right? We ain't giving out cars for free. We ain't giving out 5+ for free. Mm-hmm. All right. So, how about me?
Your kilt rating?
Let's see. My kilt rating, I'm going to go with the same rating that I had for last episode, and that is 4.86. I think that this episode was quite good. I also think that I think this episode of Outlander had a lot on its mind and a lot that it wanted to accomplish thematically. And I think that it did for a lot of things. But I would also say that there was some problematic stuff in here that needs to be discussed.
Okay.
And see if we can talk through it. You're GBG though. You're good. You're bad. And you're great.
All right. My good was when Claire looks up at the flag after, when Jamie's saying goodbye to cousin Simon. And I was just thinking about how everyone that we love has just had to go back and forth to who am I? It's like that song and chorus line, who am I anyway? I don't know, you don't know it, and I totally sing it wrong. But like, where is my allegiance and where is my heart? And my heart kind of always is with the people that I love, but sometimes that goes under a different flag. And like Claire talked with William about how difficult war is. And obviously he said, you've done this before. And like, she's been through looking, hating the English flag through Scottish eyes. She, of course, loved the flag when she was in the World War, like, proud of it. So it's a really interesting thing. And I think that, the journey that the Frasers as a whole have gone on with different allegiances, and now they get to go back to Scotland. It's just a really interesting thing. So I just thought that was a beautiful physical metaphor to ponder.
Awesome. Look at you. All right. Bring in the heat.
My bad. The lighting again.
Yeah. It's these little things that it just seemed to plague Outlander.
If the lighting is noticeable to me, it's not okay because I don't pay attention to the lighting. But it was this particular scene when Claire is leaving Denzel and she's like, okay, I got to go tend to my husband. And it was daytime still there. It was total daytime. And she walks on over and someone says, bye, Colonel. And she walks in. It is still daytime. Now, mind you, the tents are close to each other. So one could say like they're casting shadows on each other, but it is still daytime. Yes. So daytime with Denzel, daytime as she walks in, goodbye, Colonel. She comes inside.
And it is dark as night.
It is so dark. It is night time.
Wicked dark down there.
There are night bird sounds going on. Yes. Not like the jibber jabber and chatting of the troops during the day, but night birds. Plus, Jamie is pretending to be asleep. He's supposed to be asleep because Claire's like quiet and she lights the candle and everything. Except Jamie just had someone in his tent 2 seconds ago. Right. So I was like, Jamie, you're as good at pretending to be asleep as my 8-year-old.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'm thinking there like, okay, why is he lying to Claire? Like,
why is
what's
he
the
pretending
point?
to be night? Okay.
Yeah.
We know because your friend just left saying goodnight, Colonel.
Right.
And he's like, oh, hi, Claire. I was napping. No, you weren't. So she says, oh, yeah, I just saw the guy. Like, what did he want in here? And it's nighttime. From then on, the continuity is okay because she lights the candle. Yeah, and then she gives him the, the laudanum.
I gotcha.
And she sews his hand the entire night. Yes. And then by the time it's done, the candle is a little stump and it's dawn coloring.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Light coming from above. It's early morning light. But the lighting in the beginning of that scene and having the nightbird sounds and having Jamie pretend to be sleeping when someone just left the tent messed with me.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And one of the things that I ended up thinking was, okay, she walks in, perhaps, like, I don't know how that works. I honest to God, don't know how that works because the guy left the tent. Claire walks in. Do they have a conversation? Or wait, hold on one sec. Perhaps there was a scene that they put on the cutting room floor or whatever. Perhaps there was a scene when Claire walks in during the daytime and they talk but like, you're right though, Mary, for someone to like notice that and be like, wait, what? Like this doesn't, it's just bad editing.
Yes.
It's just bad editing.
Yes.
That's what it comes down to.
So that is why it was not a 5+. That alone,
that's fair,
is not a 5+.
Listen, when it's a 5+,
it needs to be perfect.
Everything's got to be perfect.
Yes.
Everything.
So that being said, for those of you who like me, love the episode, know that that's my bone to pick. And if it's a little bone, it's like a little twig of a bone. It's okay. I still love this episode. It's still a 5, but that took me out of the scene. The ending was a chef's kiss. Absolute perfection. Yeah. I love how I'm left, frequently we're like, no, cliffhangers. I'm here for every single one of these cliffhangers. I love it. I think that it's like, just like ending a book, you know what I mean? Like, stay tuned, like you feel good about some of these things and we're on to greater and bigger adventures. Like you said, the boat with Scotland and the music, I was crying along with all of them. I love it. Love it. Love it. And when you think about the last time it was that those three saw the shores of Scotland together.
It was season 3 when Ian got snatched away by when Ian the ship appeared out of nowhere.
His first by Ian.
Yeah.
His first by Ian.
First ever by Ian.
Thanks to Galis.
Yes. I
So that ending was
See, I wouldn't even call that a cliffhanger, though, Mary.
No, not the ship, but I'm saying like Mr. Bug and Roger and Buck going back in time. Like there's lots of things.
Right, there are cliffhangery things.
Yes, that's what I mean. But I'm satiated. Like like you see, okay, there are these other things that need further exploring, but as a whole, I feel so good.
So I think. Even then, Mary, like I'm not even sure the things that they showed us with like, Buck and Roger going to the stones and disappearing and Bree crying and Mr. Bug. I don't even think those are cliffhangery. I would say that those are just
to be continued
jumping off points.
Okay, yes, exactly. That's why I'm saying it doesn't make me mad. It doesn't make me like, come on, you did that.
Like, and this is one of the things that I had a problem with season 6, right? Where it was like there was a story. That story was not completed, right? And it was very much a cliffhanger is something that is when you are left in the middle of an action. The most perfect cliffhanger ever is actually in Star Trek: The Next Generation, between episodes, the finale of season 3 to the premiere of season 4, the best of both worlds, and. Hashtag spoilers, Captain Picard becomes a Borg, and then at the end of that episode for Best of Both Worlds Part 1, Commander Riker is like, okay, fire on the Borg ship, and I'm going to kill Captain Picard. And then it cut to black. It was like, oh my God. That is the perfect cliffhanger, right? Because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know, but it's leaving in the middle of an action. Yes, Buck and Roger are leaving in the middle of an action, but it's the completion of that story of those two being in that time. And then they're going to start another story later on.
So what is your GBG?
All right, so my good, I have a tie.
No.
Yeah.
No.
All right, so here's the thing. I really liked the scene between Jamie and his son. And I remember thinking, oh man, wouldn't it have been great if Jamie was the one that shot Simon Fraser and he had to go and then he had to like say all the things that he said as, family to family. And I remember thinking, oh God, I wish that he didn't like accidentally shoot at William, because that's a cop-out. Like, I wanted Jamie to feel that pain. And then I was switched very quickly when I saw the scene that was shared between the two of them later on when he gives him the hat. And, this is the closest to his son he's going to be. It's just, if it's the only thing that Jamie can do, I'm going to give him this hat so he has a piece of me with him at all times.
Yeah.
And I just
talk to him like a man.
Yes.
Oh, Lumos.
Sorry, she almost deleted this entire scene. Okay, here we go. I liked all of that. Just because he thinks that this is the only time he's ever going to talk to his son, and the emotion that comes along with that as he walked away, and calling him sir, and like the whole thing, just really truly phenomenal. I didn't think that I was going to like that moment as much as I did. And then even the way that William puts the tricorn hat on and then like lifts his head a little bit. It's very reminiscent of when Jamie had in season 5 when he put the tricorn on, had the red coat on. Yep. Like the whole thing, it mirrored it and it matched it, right? It rhymed. And I just thought that was excellent. So good. So very good. My bad. Sometimes Outlander doesn't know when to quit. And
isn't that a quote from a Notebook? I don't know how to quit you.
No, that's not the Notebook. That's Brokeback Mountain. Oh. Very different. All right. Sometimes Outlander doesn't know when to quit. Or when to know Outlander needs to know when to pull a Costanza. Say the joke, leave the room. Okay? Unfortunately, I think it does this in 2 instances in this episode. One is the stuff with Ian and Rachel. They have this little moment when they're in the tent and he walks in and Rolo's there, and like they have another repetitive.
They've got the slippery situation going on.
Yeah, like, you know, it's just, how many times can you accidentally touch each other, you know, and like give those longing looks?
It's not always accidental.
I'm willing to whistle past that graveyard. However, we then come to the scene when he kisses her. She like smacks him into friggin' Pluto because he starts talking different languages all at once.
God. That was amazing. When he started talking, Blake was like, you that is exactly what you said. You said she smacked him so hard.
Yeah.
He's talking 2 languages. Oh my God, what is he saying, Mary?
She smacked him stupid.
And so I put on the subtitles and it said, like, speaking in both Gaelic and Mohawk. That's what it said.
Right, yeah.
And so Blake was like, see, it is.
Yeah.
What did you call it?
Oh,
Galhawk or?
Mohawk, I think. I can't remember, but whatever.
Yeah, you made up your own thing because you were like, she just made him create his own language.
I just, it was like ridiculous. And then she's like he goes to touch her and she can't, and she doesn't want him to.
No, but she does.
But she does. And then he says, I'm going to take you right here. Yes. But then it's going to be too late for both of us. And I'm like,
yes. And Rachel's into it.
And I'm like,
her eyes
what?
are like, please.
Like, what are we?
Please.
Like,
there is a light within me because I'm Quaker that needs to be fed.
I just thought that was
this little light of mine. I'm gonna
way too much, and it just. I understand what they're trying to do, and I like the whole like, I love him
scene.
thing. I was not at all. Like, not only is it repetitive, but it just like it's just super poorly written. Like, whoever wrote that just doesn't understand how to flirt.
The way that his reaction came off was a little rough, especially when you have the subtitles on. You're like, oh man.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm going to take you right now.
But
like,
I was into that. And if I do, then we both won't stop. And then her eyes are watering and she was saying yes with her eyes.
Oh my goodness gracious. No.
I was into it. Oh. And then he leaned in and she was kind of like nosying. I was into that.
I didn't mind the fact that he kissed her. I didn't mind the fact that she slapped him. I feel like that's the next course of events, you know, leading up to like the accidental touching and the longing and the whole thing. Like, okay, that happens. But like, I'm going to have you right here. Like, oh God. All right.
Oh, I was into it.
My other bad here. And
this is what happens when I'm sex deprived from Jamie and Claire sex. I'm into Rachel I sex. Give it to me. Goose grease. Oh my God.
All the goose grease.
That's it. I was like, as soon as he was like, it's very slippery, I was like, Ian. Yes.
So, all right. Now, a lot of you, I think, are going to be not surprised and yet surprised at the same time for my next bad. And that is Benedict Arnold.
Is your bad?
It's Benedict Arnold is my bad. I don't like when these kinds of things happen in shows where people that have no business operating with someone like of that nature.
He wanted her bark.
Yeah, he wanted her bark, all right. No, let me finish. However,
was this the person that like episodes ago you were like, if they see him, I'm going to be mad?
Yes.
Okay.
A bit like, but this is what I'm saying.
Okay.
This is why I'm saying Outlander doesn't know when to quit.
Well, I just
Hold on. Wait. And the reason why I'm saying you're not going to be surprised, but you're going to be very surprised, is I actually like what they did with Benedict Arnold. If they had just had him walk up to Claire and have the interaction and she learns that it's Benedict Arnold and he walks off and then she talks to Jamie about who he is and the whole slow-mo thing, like as he's walking among all the people, I am freaking ecstatic about that. I was waiting for something stupid to happen. And then when what happened did happen, I was saying, oh my God, they did it right. They did it freaking right. And they did it right because not only did they have a very short interaction, like a meaningless one, which would have been understandable,
yes.
but they also did it so that it subverted our expectations as viewers. And it actually teaches you as a viewer something about Benedict Arnold that maybe you wouldn't have necessarily known. We all look at him like this super bad dude. Like Benedict Arnold is like not good, like not a good guy. And maybe he's not. But what the show does and the way that they introduce him is spectacular because it gives you another perspective, something that can at least challenge the common thought, right? Oh my God. When that happened,
you went from your bad to good?
It was going to be my great. As a matter of fact, up until this point, I'm giving it a...
Episode whatever, 702, Blake, who said they better not bring Benedict Arnold in this.
And then...
Just shocked at you.
And then...
Oh, then what?
And then Claire treats him when his leg is shattered.
Why is that bad?
And then
that would make sense.
He says to her, shouldn't I be boarded in my hatred of Horatio Gates? And Claire says, yes, you should.
Why is that bad?
Because it's effectively saying that Claire is the person that gives him the license to start the journey of becoming the traitor that he becomes.
Well, she's learned something. You can't change what's going to happen. So whether she said it or not, and he probably is going to forget what she said. He's in loads of pain. He didn't even take any medicine.
God.
She could have told him, you're going to be a monkey tomorrow, and he would forget.
Don't care. The fact that they even alluded.
Claire can't lie. That's the problem. Claire's not a good liar. So she couldn't be like...
The fact that they even alluded to this, like even opened up the opportunity for this.
I didn't see it as that.
Ruined the whole thing.
I didn't see it as like he's going to go through life being like that Claire Fraser.
I thought what they did.
She was brilliant.
Up until she started treating him it was perfectly handled. Like perfectly. Like you want to invite somebody of that historical nature into your show. Awesome. The way that they did it, especially teaching you something about him.
Would you have just preferred her go, or say interesting, the equivalent? So it's
you know what I would have
not
preferred?
Going either way.
I would have preferred him asking the question and them cutting away. Like she didn't even say respond at all.
No, you wouldn't have been mad at that. You would have been like, come on. What'd they do?
I wouldn't have because Claire didn't.
You wanted her to be like, oh, look at the time.
Yeah, well,
gotta
because
go.
you can at least like in your brain wrap yourself around that in terms of the historical context.
Mm-hmm.
I could squint at it and say, okay, that makes sense. Like, does it make sense that she would have treated him? Perhaps. But for that interaction to happen, that didn't feel right. Anyway, but my great is kind of like you.
Really loud.
I'm sorry. I'm excited.
I know I can tell. Benedict Arnold just did something to you. I just got to tell you, I've never heard you this loud in real life in a podcast.
I'm excited.
I can tell.
All right, my great. Fine, I will.
I will
calm myself. History makes me happy.
I know.
All right.
I'm like cowering in my chair.
All right. My great is Claire looking up at the British flag, like you had talked about, Mary.
Look at us be twins.
Yeah, just because I think that it is phenomenal how she looks up at that and it's foreign to her at that moment, right? She had spent all of her 20s or whatever fighting for that flag against the Germans in the name of that flag. And then later on in, her late 20s, early 30s, she's fighting against that flag for, Scottish independence. And then later on, she's fighting against that flag with the Americans, and the British are allied with German Hessians. Like, just the whole, like, all of life surrounding that flag for her comes up in that moment. And I just found that a terrific moment for Claire, for her journey, what she's gone through and how she's gone through it. She's there under truce as a traitor. And she's faced with that. And yet at the same time, her husband is there under truce as a traitor. And none of that matters because he's with his kin, right? He's with the Fraser clan in some form or fashion, right? And he's there and that's why I played that spot at the top of our episode, because that to me is this episode in a nutshell. Like, who are we? What are we doing? And is all of this worth it? They even have that conversation between she and Denzel. Like, is all this worth it? And Claire assures him, yes, it is. But is it? Right? Like, so is it family that you have to fight and kill? Is it worth almost killing your son? Is it worth seeing your cousin die? Is it worth, coming into what is ostensibly a British camp, ostensibly, again, as a traitor, like, to that flag, something that you have fought for and almost died for, right? Like, all of that is spectacular. And that's why I say that this episode had a lot on its mind, and it wanted to do all those things. Yeah, of course, the other great for me is the whole end, whether it is all the lighthearted stuff about the dignity of the American cause and throwing up over the boat, and I'm not going to look like a porcupine, and all the laughing, but at the same time concluding the episode with Scotland. And there was almost a sense of how much Jamie has aged as he's walking up those stairs. And now maybe obviously because he's seasick, and there's a great callback to earlier seasons of Jamie being seasick, right? But the fact that, like, the way that it feels frail, it feels older, right? It feels like just different than what he was.
It's not as sprightly.
Yes. And there's
carefree.
And the tears aren't, necessarily for, like, oh yay, I'm back. But it's like, all this time has passed, all the people that I've seen, and all the things that I've done. And when I was last here, I was, I was wanted, and, like, the whole thing, like, all of that comes up. It almost reminded me, actually, Mary, of The Last Kingdom, #spoilers, at the end of season 5, when Uhtred is finally at Bebbanburg, and, like, he goes through, like, his whole life.
Yeah.
And he sees it all now that he's there. Same thing. That's what it reminded me of. So that's my good, bad, and my great. So that's that, Marvin. What else do you want to talk about now that we're 32 minutes into this episode? Sorry, everybody.
Well, you know what? Like, those are the things that really stood out to us in this episode, and that's what we do cover them in our GBGs, because they are the things that are, like, what you hold on to, what we need to get off our chest or discuss a little bit. I did want to say that I absolutely adored how they had the cold open. The cold open was right on the battlefield, right where we left at the end of 707. So for those people who are able to watch it in the future, who don't have to wait 2 weeks in between each episode, I think it's going to be a really nice transition. It goes, like, same coloring, people laying all over the battlefield, and we go right into the people who are trying to rob and then also slay Jamie. And Claire is badass. I love me some mad Claire when it's either I'm gonna, you could just see the adrenaline rush in her. She picks up the sword. And then, she rescues Jamie, and he's trying to be so cute. He's like, oh, that tickles Sassenach. And she is furious with him. And I liked this a lot because there was something, remember, like, I didn't know where you were this past weekend. So, like, literally a weekend ago on Sunday, we were celebrating our anniversary, and Blake disappeared for like an hour. Little did I know he was getting a present together for me for our anniversary, but I didn't know. I just thought he was dropping off the kids 7 minutes away, expected him to be back pretty soon thereafter, and he wasn't. And there was no call, nothing. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, is he in a car accident? Is something bad happening to him? Why wouldn't he call me and let me know? Did my mom keep him later and just, like, talking to him a lot while he's there with the kids? So when Blake did come home, I was angry. I was like, where the hell were you? And here the poor kid is. He's, like, trying to, like, be nice because it's our anniversary dinner and was doing all these great things.
It was, where the hell you been?
Yes.
Where the hell you been?
Yes.
And I got some bad news, Mary, for a good half hour.
So I loved me some mad Claire right here because she was mad. And I said the same thing to you eventually, is that I was scared. And sometimes when, like, your mind's whirling and thinking the worst for the person, and then you do find them, you don't react the best way. You're not like, oh my my God, Jamie, yay! Like, tickle, yes, tickle time. Like, no. You know, and she is mad at him. Just like I was mad a little bit because you didn't give me the heads up that you were going to be late. She's mad because she's like, buddy, like you have this complex where you just have to keep saying yes to all these battles. All I wanted to do was go home to Scotland, get myself a Highland cow and drink some tea. That's it. That's what I expected to do and have all the knitwear.
Yeah.
Do you know the knitwear collection that I had to leave? Okay. That's what she was dreaming. And she's like, and yet it's battle after battle after battle. And she's able to tell him.
Stupid hero complex that
exactly.
he has. Yes.
She's able to like get that off her chest, her anger, her fear, everything. And then she's able to say, I was really scared. You scared me. And, I did like when she said, you think that I've got like nothing better to do than to try to stick pieces of you back on.
Yeah. Right.
And I think that really hit Jamie because he hasn't been fully appreciating Claire coming along on this journey and her having to be afraid because she is a woman and she's not able to go and fight. Her body isn't necessarily always in the line, but his always is.
Right, right.
So I think that was a huge thing. So I loved that we began this episode pre-credits with her saying we were supposed to be in Scotland, and then we end the episode
in Scotland.
I loved it.
And Mary, I have an honest question here for you. And it's not flippant when I ask it. I'm not phrasing it like it's bad. But it's an honest question, and I would love to know from the nerds, too, you know, when we get to the listener feedback episode, the answer to this question. And that is this. What happened in the first half of this season? Right? And by that, I mean this. Like, I know stuff happened. Right? Yes. I know that we fought.
I'll just have one word. Christie's.
But
in the very beginning.
But like, hold on, just
for a little while.
So we had Ticonderoga, we had 2 battles of Saratoga.
The Christies.
We had the Christies finally go away. I know we met Rachel and Denzel.
And William.
And I know that William comes back.
We left Fraser's Ridge.
But what actually happens? How do our characters...
They made the decision to go home and leave.
Right. And that's what I'm getting to.
Yeah.
Because the season begins with Jamie and Claire saying, we have to leave.
Yeah.
After their house is burned down, we have to go to Scotland. Right? And then we end the season.
Are you just asking like past Outlander? Because a lot happened in the 80s.
No.
I mean, like Mandy and then 80s version. So I don't really know. Are you just talking Jamie and Claire?
I'm talking
storyline?
Jamie and Claire, yeah.
Okay.
Because Jamie and Claire, no matter what, I don't care what anybody says, they are the main characters. They're the ones who drive this story. Yes, we can grow
in
with
our
William.
Hearts.
Well, but no, I mean, it is what it is.
Yes.
We can grow.
Show.
Yeah.
For the show.
Right.
For sure.
We can grow with Roger and Bree. We can grow with William. We could grow with Murtaugh
but they're the cover art.
But they are the main
Top
characters.
Ticket, agreed.
So when we begin the story with them saying we're going to Scotland, and then they get conscripted. Well, Jamie gets conscripted into the war, and then they end the season, the mid-season, with, okay, we're going to Scotland. How did they grow at all? What actually happened that changed them? Like, yes, I know Jamie sees his son, but how does that change him? Because it doesn't change how he acts.
Well, remember you were saying this whole big things about Jamie changing by letting other people be the heroes. I think we talked a lot about whether it was allowing Tom Christie or for Ian to be the hero and rescue Claire. Mm-hmm. So I think that Jamie had a lot of growth.
That is
Claire,
fair.
She also had to make the choice to let her family go because she couldn't medically save Mandy.
Yeah, but she was going to do that either way. Like that's not a choice. Like that's not growth.
No, agree. I don't think that Claire had massive character growth in this season, but I think Jamie did. And through that, their relationship did.
I would certainly agree with you that Jamie letting go of his nature to want to solve all of Claire's issues or problems or rescue her.
And also Jamie multiple times talks about how he's older and how he's frailer and how, that's affecting him. So I think Jamie went through massive self journaling and just learning about himself this season. And I loved that for him. And Claire got to have fun with it. Claire wasn't raped in this season.
Yes, there wasn't rape in this season at all.
That's a big win.
I think that's a win.
That's a
that is certainly
win.
a win. I think there are some people in our chat here saying like, oh, well, this isn't the season finale, and I agree, it's not the season finale. But when I look at the progress over 8 episodes, I say, okay, what actually happened here, right? Because the choice to go to Scotland wasn't even theirs. It was the plot makes them go to Scotland, right? The plot demands that they go because they have to bring Simon's body, right? So what is the point?
I mean, they could have found somebody else. If Jamie said 100% no, they would have found somebody else. The plot doesn't demand it. He wants to go to Scotland. Claire just told him, I want to go to Scotland.
Yeah, no, but the plot does demand it because they
and he's had an issue even getting there. So this is his free ticket. This is his get out of jail ticket to get over there.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really know where you're trying to land your point, I guess, as well.
My point is, does this all feel kind of side questy?
Nope. Not to me.
No, and that's okay. And that's why I'm saying I'm not saying that I'm right.
It's just their journey on their way. Jamie's a fighter, man.
Yeah.
You can't get it out of him. There's a fight nearby.
Well, and that's the thing too, right? Is Jamie showing any growth? Because, well, maybe because of Claire, but he still reverts back to Red Jamie. I'm a violent man. And he when his conscription's finally up, he volunteers to go fight in the war again with Daniel Morgan. Like, is there growth? And yes, there always should be growth. Always, constantly, in every interaction in your show or movie, for every scene. If there isn't growth in some sort of fashion or
I think this is where you
regression,
and I disagree. I think I see a lot of growth.
Okay.
And sadly, you're just blind.
No. I'm just bringing it up because I think it's worthy of conversation. And I loved the episode. I really did.
You've loved this season. We both have loved this season. So I don't want anyone to take this as Blake being negative. I think you're just trying to have super deep conversations.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah,
I love that for you.
That's oh man. All right. Fine. All right. So what else stood out for you in this episode, my love?
Did you have things that you wanted to cover? Because I just tried to start talking about the cold open and how much I loved that, and then you pivoted to
I did.
Oh, let's talk about Jamie. Did he grow?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay.
Well, I think I gave pretty good reasoning as to why I don't think that he did, or the characters aren't growing.
We understand your opinion.
Okay, fair enough.
Why don't you take it away since you have goals?
No, I don't have goals necessarily. I think I just wanted to have that conversation because it's important for all characters to grow and
knowing that this is a mid-season finale too.
Yeah, right. When I look at it like they started the season, we have to go to Scotland. Then they had this side quest thing.
We know, honey.
And they ended up going to Scotland anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I'm happy that they're there. I'm happy that
all
they're
right.
there.
Yes. Next point.
How did you feel about Archbug?
How did you feel about Archbug?
I actually like that they included it because it's one of those things that can easily be forgotten. And my feeling about it all is that Ian has kind of forgotten about it. We had that scene earlier in the season when he was like, Archbug, is that you?
See, I don't think he forgot about it because he tells Rachel, actually, you shouldn't love me because then you'd be in danger if you were. So I think that's what Ian's referring to. I think Ian's like, oh, no one can love me because if I love somebody, they're going to be in danger. Great. You're not going to admit to loving me? Great. This is so much better. A, because I would totally do you right now with this goose grease. And secondly, He has something else.
Well,
he's not going to tell her like this creepy old man who's been following me around.
See, that's funny because I took it more like, listen, if you are in love with me, that means you're going to be, kicked out of being a Quaker.
No, I take it as like we're supposed to think that when Ian has those nightmares, that is present, like always on his mind.
Fair, absolutely fair. Like
I think it would be really, it would do a disservice to us if like continually through the season we had to keep being reminded of like Ian being like, Archibald, is that you? Like in every single episode.
True.
But I think that was there to remind us that he is always in Ian's mind, and I think that that's what Ian was referencing.
That's fair. I didn't take it that way, but when you put it in that context, it absolutely does make sense. How did you feel
Rollo like lets him pet him because he knows him?
Yes.
He's like, oh, you're Mr. Bug. You used to feed me. We would like hang.
Right. Yeah,
like,
we're buddies. Yeah, right.
Yes.
I liked that. I thought that was really good.
Right.
Here's the thing though, that if I'm the showrunner, right, and I'm not here to write a better show, but if I'm the showrunner, I actually include that as a stinger at the end, like after the credits, the whole thing. Because it doesn't fit within the context of what they're trying to create in that particular episode. But if that is a stinger at the end, I think that scene hits way different. I don't know. What do you think?
I liked it. I was here for it.
Yeah. No, I liked it. I wanted to bring that option to the table to be like, what would you think about, like, if that was the stinger, what would you think about that?
I don't know what you mean.
Well, like kind of like a Marvel movie, right? There, how you have the movie, then there's credits, and then there's a scene after the credits.
No, because then I would feel like this is going to be the most important thing, or this is where the journey begins.
Yeah, you see? Okay, that's why I'm asking the question. That's why I'm asking the question. Mm-hmm. All right, we should talk about our partners here. What do you think about that, Marvin?
Yes.
All right, let's go. Let's talk about our partners, WeBox.
Oh my goodness gracious, friends. You've been listening to us all season long talking about how much we love WeBox. WeBox, of course, is a subscription gift that you can get for yourself to treat yourself or to treat a loved one, to share Scotland with Scots or Scots at Hearts all over the world. So every single WeBox is carefully curated around a monthly theme with 5 bunny gifts and treats. Mm-hmm. You can't find a lot of them outside of Scotland. They're shipped to you. It's super cute. It comes with a magazine written by some of Scotland's top journalists, an exclusive virtual tour with Andy the Highlander, and of course a soundtrack to listen to as you unbox your gifts. So September is the one that you can get right now at the time of the recording of this podcast, and its theme is Let's Escape to Skye, and I think it's just so perfect, right?
Just a cozy cottage.
Well, like, let's be real, Jamie and Claire just went across the ocean, and maybe not exactly to Skye, but close to, right?
Sure.
So, voted the most desirable place to live in the UK, Skye is rightly renowned for its rugged landscapes, its unique place in clan history, relaxed hospitality, and a vibrant and seasonal food scene. This month's WeBox is curated to try and transport you to an island life and help you experience the joy of slowing down, which I sure need to learn how to do.
Yes.
So you're going to get a coffee mug holder. It's a sheepskin coffee mug holder made from a close-cropped, curly sheepskin that helps keep your fingers cozy in your favorite drink at the perfect temperature. And also a rejuvenating serum with rosehip and sea buckthorn to help with anti-aging properties. It has a beautiful, lavish blend of scents to go in it. And this is just 2 of the 5 gifts. So just to give you a wee little sampling. So, of course, we do have a coupon code. It is webox.co.uk. That is WEEBOX.co.uk. And use the coupon code CAST10 CAST10 for 10% off at checkout.
Yes.
And one of my favorite bits, it comes in this beautiful purple box. These are shipped all around the world. It comes in like a current Scottish newspaper. So they're recycling and reusing, and also you get to be like, oh my God, it's so cute. Like, I love it. I love Scotland. So everything is Scottish. I'm telling you, it's so worth it.
So Marvin, I do want to talk about the battle scenes because I thought they were shot very well. I thought the use of slow-mo, I thought that the high frame rate that was used to shoot that slow-mo was perfect. I thought that I knew where I was at all times. I knew where Jamie was going at all times.
It was very much callback to previous battle scenes that we had with Jamie, where you just knew where you were, you felt it, you were in the battle there with him.
Yes.
And he was in a kilt.
Oh,
Thank
and
you.
how can you forget that?
Thank you.
You know, like forget about it. You know, and then we had like the bagpipes playing at the same time. You know, the whole thing was spectacular. And I was ready to be more critical of it, but then I couldn't be because I thought it was shot so well. When Jamie leaps over the wall and he sees the Hessians and he starts killing people and like the whole thing. But what really taps it all off for me, what just sent this to the moon, was when we had that small fake out with William, where he thinks he sees William getting impaled. And I thought that was perfect. What did you?
Oh my gosh,
what do you think about that?
I mean, whoever their hairdresser is stunning, absolutely stunning. And friends who are joining in the live chat, this is a spoiler-free chat, so just to give you that heads up, so Blake, just avert your eyes for a little while.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah. I was like, they have the same hairstylist and wig stylist, because the ponytail was exactly the kind that William would have.
Well, it was so alike that I actually thought that they did use the actor for William in that one particular scene when Jamie looks over and he thinks he sees William, because it was just so similar, right? And then, because like we've seen that before in other films or other shows or whatever, and that's fine. But then when he looks over again and his senses come to him, he realizes that it's not William. It's like, it was even like darker hair, which I thought was interesting. But the fact that Jamie sees that he shoots at William and knocks his hat off, and then he starts thinking about William and where he is and what he's doing. Is he going to be okay? And then he thinks he sees William get impaled. I just thought that was great for a character like him to show that kind of vulnerability, even in the midst of, trying to take back a fort, right? That's important stuff.
Yes.
That's important stuff. So, are you all right?
No, I just had to get rid of a spoiler comment. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm not looking.
It's okay.
So
I know. I just for other friends watching,
okay.
so I just try to make sure that I can clean things up.
All right. Fair enough. So what do you think? What else stands out to you in the past? All right, we'll call it that. What stands out to you in the 18th century that you want to discuss?
Let me pull up my notes. I loved Jamie just having problems, not wanting to shoot at his cousin or his son. Just feeling all the feels.
Well, no, he shoots at his son without knowing that it was.
Yeah, and then when he does, he's like, "Oh my god! I have the worst job ever. I don't want to be here today. Claire was right. What am I doing here?" I also loved. It almost made it to my greats was the conversation that Claire has with Denzel. The conversation that she has with him just about how he says, in the past I've only lost 4 people and now I've,
quadrupled it.
That.
Whatever it is.
It's so bad. And, then him even saying, I'm sorry that I think that you wouldn't care as much. Mm-hmm. Just close that, please. So, I think that it's, I loved their conversations because he asks her, is this worth it? Mm-hmm. Is all this bloodshed, is all this war, is all of this worth it? And once again, Claire, who wouldn't lie, gets to just be honest and says, yeah, I think it is.
Yeah. We all know that it's worth it, or at least
let me work it.
So far, it's been worth it.
Reverse it.
So far, it's been worth it. Where we're going from here, I don't know. But is it worth it though? Is the
well, that's what she kind of gets to. She's
are those lives worth it? Is abandoning your faith, abandoning your purpose? Mm-hmm. Is that worth it? right? And all of these people, whether it is Denzel or Rachel or Ian or Jamie or Claire or even William, they're all facing these turning points in their life now where they're like, okay, what am I doing? Where am I going? Right? Where does all this head? Right? Especially for someone like William too, right? Because now, it is 100% fact that Burgoyne loses the battle, and he makes it so that, number one, he doesn't surrender to Horatio Gates. He refuses to surrender. He sends somebody else in his stead. And part of the surrender was, I'm not going to become a prisoner of war. Not going to do it. My stipulation is that I go back to England. And all my men, we all go back to England. And we promise that we'll never fight in the war again. But we're all headed back. And that's it.
Yeah, we want to go back and have tea. Thanks.
Yeah. And Burgoyne, I'll save this for the history episode because I don't want to bore everybody to tears. Burgoyne actually tries to live life there, and he fails. Like, he doesn't fail, but he isn't given the same kind of heroic welcome that he thought he was going to get. Mm-hmm. And so it's just interesting that now William is apparently supposed to go back to England because he's in that army. And what's he going to do?
You'll just have to wait and see,
Oh,
Blake.
I know, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's a turning point for him, right? And knowing that he's going to go back. And even Jamie now knows that he's going to be safe. Okay.
Speaking of Jamie, I loved the shot when Claire was cleaning up his hand and the light just perfectly catches her ring while she's taking care of him. And then they have that conversation where, and it was so beautiful. I mean, if you did not already love Jamie, King of Men before, you fall in love with him when he talks about how saving one man's life would have been worth it. And of course, Claire says, oh my gosh, of course you'd make me cry. You're so amazing. And quoting the Bible and saying, I could have lost a finger. I'm not going to, but I could have lost a finger. But to know that, what we did and just charging in there saved so many people. Mm-hmm. Heck, even if it was just one guy, it would have totally been worth it. I adore Jamie. I think we all just fell in love with him a little bit more in that moment.
Yeah, I would wholeheartly agree. And
you were talking too about kind of the growth or whatever that whole thing was that you went down. I'm still reeling over it. But I loved, when his hand is being healed. And that was a crazy, 2 weeks goes by.
Oh,
they come back and it's just
cut.
Here's my hand. It's all healed. Wow, Auntie Claire, what's going on? Rolo's eating goose grease.
It's been a good 2 weeks, hasn't it?
But on the flip side, she says, I'm worried about it healing because he is going to go back to fight. And this is when Ian really kind of tries to ask Claire, what is it going to take? And she goes through her own mini history lesson. But of course, she doesn't know the history as well as Bree would, as well as Blake Larson would. She doesn't know all the missing pieces and the exact dates and timelines. Of course, she says, the French have to get involved. I know it has to get to that point. But honestly, I don't know. And not only that, I don't know if I'm going to be alive. I don't know if you, Ian, or Jamie is going to be alive. I know that America wins, but along that way,
a lot of people are going to croak.
Yes, exactly. So I really thought that was a wonderful discussion because it is easy for us to be like, they're from the future. They know things, but they don't. They don't know everything. They know vague.
They know a direction.
Yes.
They don't know the path.
Another thing that I liked with Benedict Arnold and Claire was how he was talking about the laudanum and she was like, oh my God, you've got this. I love this stuff. And she said, do you have more of it? And he's like, yeah, I've got tons of it at home. And she's like, oh, do you use it? And he said, I used it on my leg when I was hurting, but I weaned myself off. Why do you want it so bad? Do you use it?
Right.
And then she says, oh no, it's to get rid of the pain from my patients. And I just feel like that was to do us right, that she is not using ether,
right?
That she is not using these medical devices for herself anymore. It to us as viewers to say Claire no longer uses a medicinal crutch because he pretty much asks her hey, do you?
And it's good to validate that, by the way,
and I thought it
from
was
the previous season.
Exactly. And I just thought it was so beautifully done to help us feel at ease, because I told you that was a change from the book.
Sure.
But also we just felt like a lot of us struggled with that for Claire's character, even though understandably she needed to have some release from the trauma, and it obviously we would have wanted it to be in a more healthy way, but to know that she no longer uses substances for her trauma just makes you feel so good for her that she's able to be in a healthier place.
I almost half expected her to be like have that look of realization, no, or
I mean, she asked it first,
or a look of lying. No. You know what I mean? You know how when somebody...
No, because to me that would have meant that she does use it.
I know. I almost half expected
You're
that.
saying you as a show watcher were wondering, is she still using something?
Would she still use it? Is this the show's way of being like, oh, no, she's still using?
Yes.
I half expected that answer.
Okay.
Where it's like, no.
No, but it's like, nope, Claire's in a really healthy emotional place right now.
And I'm so glad that they, again, they subverted our expectation. They used someone like Benedict Arnold in the way that they introduced him, and which is why it was so fantastic the way they did this, to show different sides of both of these characters that you may or may not have expected.
Yeah.
Right? And the funny thing is that, yes, his leg got screwed up at Saratoga. And this is when the whole journey begins. Because when he gets back, he's not given command of any armies,
because he has boo-boos,
because his leg's all screwed up, and he is forever limping from then on, and he experiences immense pain in his left leg from then on, and that immense pain is what festers and what causes it's one of those things that keeps eating at him every single day. Like, I went to Saratoga, I single-handedly won that battle, and here I am with nothing to show for it. And that's what eventually turns him over, right? So I just, I really love what they did with Benedict Arnold, the way that they did it, for the most part. And I'm glad that they at least alluded to how he was turning. And there was even that slight bit as Claire was talking, she was saying, yeah, everybody loves him, and Jamie was affirming this, and then she's saying, but then he turns.
He's except for grandma, whatever. So he names one person, and he's like, she's mad at him for some reason. But.
and it was awesome, because as she's saying, yeah, he was this great general and blah, 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 he's smiling and talking to everybody. And then as she says, but then he turns and he becomes really upset. And you're forever known, if you are a traitor, you're Benedict Arnold. And in that moment, the character that they're showing for Benedict Arnold in slow-mo, his face just turns. Instead of smiling, it becomes very serious and angry looking. Now, I'm sure that he wasn't supposed to be angry in the moment, but the way that it's shown, it's
it's very Anakin
you can
Skywalker.
See, total Anakin Skywalker moment.
Yeah, he walks by, and on the shadow behind him, it's
actually Darth Vader. Yeah,
okay.
We actually have that poster in our house.
We do.
So yeah, I really liked that as well. I thought that was really good.
In addition to having Benedict Arnold be hurt, of course, Colonel Fraser is hurt. And what I loved about this scene is just knowing that they would be able to do something like this, where you could come over in a form of truce and, get somebody to come and say goodbye, because obviously this was a very common thing that would be happening in America during this time frame. And of course, as Jamie and Claire exit the tent, as they start to go towards Simon, the bagpipe starts to play.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they have the scene with, we were talking about, where I've got the kin with me now, and I can die peacefully amongst comrades. It was just an absolutely beautifely acted scene.
That's why you get Angus McFadden to do that.
Exactly.
That's why you bring in the heavy hitter.
I loved it. And then of course we go right from there to William, and William had such a quizzical look about Jamie. You wonder what is going through his head after Jamie gives him the hat and says, I think I owed you this. Is he wowed that, oh my gosh, you're the guy that did this? Putting two and two together, of course, because he was just talking to Claire, knowing, oh, your husband's here. Okay, here he is. He hasn't seen him.
Yeah.
in ages.
I
but
guess
he knew him as the groom,
right.
that he grew up with, and he knows, of course, that Lord John Grey, his dad, quotes, is besties with him, is friends with him. So, but this is really the first time that he's seen him since he's been a man.
Do you think? See, I was questioning whether or not William recognized Jamie, like, at all. Did he recognize that Jamie was Jamie?
What did you take from his viewpoint? What did you take? That's what I'm asking. Is he had such interesting facial expressions that I'm wondering what you, as a show watcher,
it's interesting.
Took from
it's
all
an
of
interesting
that.
Conversation because, like, he knows Claire, right, and he knows that Claire is there.
Mm-hmm.
He knows that her husband is there. He knows that her husband was the groom. Like, he knows all of that stuff. But when Jamie walks up with the hat, gives him the hat, sir, the whole thing, does William recognize Jamie as the groom in that moment? My gut tells me yes, because Claire is there, right? And later on...
I mean, but Claire wasn't there when Jamie was the groom. That's when he was very little.
What do you mean?
Like, when Jamie was there when William was super little, like toddler.
Oh, no,
William.
what I'm saying is Claire was there at the camp, right? He just spoke with her, and he knows that she's married to Jamie, who was the groom, right?
Yeah, he knows. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. If he sees this person that is,
Yes.
On the American side. Are you saying,
is he now visually recognizing him?
Yeah, like, does he see Jamie there and be like, oh my God, you're Jamie?
Yes.
Does he have that knowledge?
I would assume so, because he said so much.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
He knows who Jamie is.
All right. I apologize.
It's okay.
I'm talking about it as I'm seeing it. Like, that's my first question. Does he recognize Jamie as Jamie?
He's talked about Jamie being the groom.
Yes.
Yes.
But when Jamie is there, gives him the hat,
and he's
the whole
like,
thing,
yes.
the whole interaction, does he know that is Jamie the groom?
Yes.
Okay. So that's my first question. My next question is, after he has the hat, he takes it off, then puts it on, looks up, and it talks about the Highlander and the whole thing. He has this look of like he's, it almost reminds me of that gif of Julia Roberts with all of the equations, when she's looking confused doing the math.
Mm-hmm.
I see him doing equations in his head. And I don't know if he's putting together, he doesn't have any reason. He has zero reason to believe that Jamie is his dad. Like, none. But I mean, if there's anything that happened in show, Mary, that you can tell me that gives him reason to think that Jamie is his dad, I'm certainly happy to listen.
I think it's just, show-wise, he's just thinking back like, okay, like, wow, our paths keep meeting. You know? Like, oh, interesting.
And so, like, I don't think that he's thinking like, oh my God, that's my dad. Is that my dad? Could it be my dad? Because he is 100% convinced that Lord John is his dad, as he should be. But you can see that he's doing math. I just don't know what that math is yet.
I don't think he does yet.
And I like the fact that the show allows us that movement, right? That ability to be like, okay, what is the math that he's doing? And you can arrange it in any way that you choose.
Like, he's always been told who his dad is, just like you were always told.
Yeah. So like, you have every reason to believe that that's your dad.
I think it's just like, wow, what an interesting person.
Yeah, something keeps happening here.
And also, you have in your mind an opinion about the rebels. You have an opinion about the people fighting for America.
Sure.
And then here's this person who's like, yeah, I shot the hat off your head so you can have my hat.
Right.
Which is just a very honorable thing to do.
Right.
And maybe they would think less of the rebels.
Right.
Rebel scum, if you may. So go with some more Star Wars references for you.
Oh, so I gotta play that sound. There we go.
I just think that they did a beautiful job of having him have this really kind of questioning and pondering look upon.
Well,
his
again,
face.
Mary, it goes back to the episode title and the theme that they're trying to produce here is like, what are we? What are we doing? right? And I don't think it's for funsies that they have this little bit where William, as just this guy who thinks he's doing the right thing, to go shut the door of the tent, and the other guy's like, no, it's a old Highlander thing. Like, you can't go doing that. You leave it open so that his soul has a way to leave, right? And then again, we get that quizzical look from William, where it's just like, oh wow, like you could see him doing math. And I love that the show allows this, because yes, Simon Fraser is part of the British Army, and yes, James Fraser is part of the American Army, and they were fighting, and there was a millisecond there where he was going to kill Simon Fraser, and like all of that happened.
Simon doesn't even know he's related to William,
and all of this stuff is churning about, and yet there is this moment where everybody can recognize, no, don't do that, because that's a Highlander thing. This needs to be open.
Yeah.
Right? It shows that the bonds go far beyond just flags and uniform and all of that stuff. And you get the sense that William has been brought up in this sense that the duty is to the flag and to the uniform, and that's what you give your allegiance to. And yet here he is witnessing this thing between Fraser kin on opposite sides of the field. Again, this episode had a lot on its mind, and I think it accomplished quite a bit of it to give the proper story. The one that at least the emotional math for me works, right? And that's what matters most, right? And not me, but when the emotional math works, that's the most important thing.
How did you feel about Captain Morgan talking about his 499 lashes?
Oh.
Now, I loved that rousing speech by the fire, and everyone has a little we drink, and he's just motivating everybody. And of course, he starts to take off his shirt, and Jamie's like, I know what's about to happen. Oh man, this seems all too familiar. I kind of loved that. I loved it because, that's right there, season 1. That's season 1 Outlander. We get to see a scarred back. We know that this is something that the British would do. Jamie says, obviously that Captain Morgan doesn't know that that's what my back looks like. He doesn't know we're kin of flesh as well. But he's got some kind of inkling. But, it just kind of reinvigorates a bit of the spirit that, like, this is still happening.
Sure.
And this is why these people are fighting for this. But I just thought it was so interesting that there we were, season 1. And here we are now, the mid-season finale of season 7, being shown a back just completely scarred by lashing by the hands of the British officers. So I don't know. I just thought it was a really interesting callback for us as viewers to be reminded all the way back to young wee Jamie, 23-year-old lad, having his shirt ripped off him by Dougal. And yet here's Captain Morgan, who is taking it off himself. And he is owning it and using it, almost like proud for, like, I counted these lashes. So it's a very different
I didn't begrudge him the last one.
Yeah,
that was
great. The other thing that I liked during the battle was Ian jumping out of nowhere with all of his war paint, doing like his moves and everything.
War paint ninja Ian.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, I'm in.
I feel like he flew in the way that he came in so quickly. So I just needed to give a shout out because Ian, yes, he was romantic in this episode, but like, let's be real, his skills are still top notch.
Mary, when we had our podcast for This Is Us, by the way, go to aryandblake.com, listen to This Is Us Too by Mary and Blake. When we discussed This Is Us, one of the things that we always talked about was that show knew how to reference its own mythology, right? Whether it was with Jack or Rebecca or whoever, right? Jack's parents or Rebecca's parents. Like, it knew how to reference it and then use it. I'm going to say this word. It's not the appropriate word, but it's the same essential direction. It weaponizes it. It weaponized its mythology to like get the feels out of you, to make a point, to hit home a theme, to ask questions about, like, you thought one thing, but when I show you this in this context, it now means a whole nother thing, right? Like This Is Us was really great at that. And I think Outlander is at a point now in its existence where it can start doing the same thing, weaponizing its own mythology to tell a story to which you already have an emotional investment. You know, as soon as Daniel Morgan's taken off that shirt, like implicit is what happened with Jamie. Mm-hmm. And then when Jamie looks at that, it's almost one of like, oh man, been down this road before. Yeah. Like, yeah, I know what he's doing, but like, ain't nothing good coming out of that. Mm-hmm. Like, it shows growth. It shows learning. It shows respect for the past. Like when we were discussing, on the Potterverse, Mad Eye Moody going over all of the members of the Order of the Phoenix. By the way, go to listen to the Potterverse at aryandblake.com. Shameless plug. Mad Eye Moody looks at all the former members and he's like, oh yeah, this person, they died 2 weeks later. Like it took 5 different wizards to take that person down. Like it was all bad stuff, but he kind of looked at it and discussed it in a manner of like, oh wow, look at that. Like all of the stuff that we've gone through. And he kind of like longs for it almost. And I got that same sense from Jamie too. Like where it was.
I did not get longing for it.
No.
Nor did I necessarily get pride, but I just got it as like
no, I've been there and done that, and like a remembrance of it, and it's just like
that it was a poignant, powerful, life-changing thing.
Like I'm sorry, when I meant longing, I meant like that was terrible stuff that Moody was referencing, but he looks back at it like powerful,
impactful.
Like wow, like that was a thing. Like I can't believe this has happened, and he doesn't have that disdain or disgust anymore. It's just like a remembrance, and that's what I mean when I say longing for Jamie in that moment.
Jamie was longing to be on dry ground in that boat scene.
Oh, that was
absolutely
great.
Loved it. Talking about the acupuncture again, which we have referenced in previous seasons before. He doesn't want to be a porcupine. We are the representation of the American dignity on the ship. And I do want to look like a porcupine. I loved that so incredibly much. We have Ian missing his pup. And of course, when they come out of the boat, we got the Gaelic singing coming out. And all 3 of them have tears in their eyes. Yeah. And then, of course, we get to see a gorgeous shot of Scotland with the sunbeams perfectly hitting it. And it made me want to cry along with them. I thought it was just absolutely beautifully done. The music has a lot of great meaning behind it. And we'll talk about that maybe during the listener feedback episode. But it was amazing. And I got to say, the second person you see on the boat, so you see people like doing all the rigging and stuff on the boat. The second guy's got a red hat. And I thought it was Smee. Captain Hook. And I know that this was like a very common like sailor kind of look, having a little beanie cap on, but I was like, Smee. So next time you rewatch it, you'll see the red hat, and you will think of Smee hopefully as well.
There were so many callbacks, Mary, in this episode, and that's why I'm saying like Outlander's, I think, finally at a point where it can start referencing its own mythology. Whether it is returning back to Scotland and Jamie with an injured hand, and Claire performing surgery all night, William with the hat looking up the way that he did. There are so many of these little moments that call back to earlier Outlander past that it's just part of the story now. This episode was filled with that. Do you think that was part of the intent, or do you think that it just happened to work out like that?
I don't know. I feel like they've been very intentful in this season.
Okay.
So I'm trusting that like everything they've done is very careful, except for lighting. All right, can we go to the present, aka the 80s?
Yes.
So of course I friggin' dug it. Roger being like Mr. No Weapons, not checking the house very well. He took action this time. He comes in, Rob Cameron, oh my god, I can't stand it. He like runs over, moves the trunk. I'm going back. I'm going for him. I've got to go for him tonight because Rob's gonna take him and he's gonna take a boat. So I gotta catch up with them now because they're heading to America. And then Buck's like, still got my clothes and you were going to send me back anyway. Interesting way he put that. You wanted to send me back anyway, not, yay, I can't wait to go back. So very interesting wording dynamic.
100%.
But they're like bromance walking through the stones, like arm over arm, shoulder to shoulder to make sure they don't get all jumbled up. I mean, it's not like Buck knows what the heck he's doing. And then Bree just whips out her little gems and Roger's like, where'd you get this? She's like, I went to a little antique store.
Yeah.
And I wanted Roger to be like, with what money?
Right.
We've got no money. And I think Bree, this was her treat yourself. Like the day after she got her job, she was like, I'm going to go.
She got that signing bonus and was like, treat yourself. She got a manicure.
Because Roger does not want to go back without toilet paper, without air, AC, heat, all the kind of things. So that is not on his treat yourself list.
No.
It is books and books and books and books and trips and books and, conferences.
Do you think Bree considered the perm? Do you think she considered a perm? I feel like she's one of those people.
Gemstones. Gemstones. Fine. Lord knows when I go back in time, my curls come back anyway with the hard water content. Who needs to fix, one of the guys is like, oh, it's going to cost so much money. Who needs that when you can have a couple of brooches?
I mean, of course, she does give the reasoning. We might need, you never know.
I appreciate it.
But still, I feel like it was definitely a treat yourself
It's like
moment.
she read like Dave Ramsey's book and his beginner steps. It's like step 1, have your $1,000 emergency fund. Step 2, secure gemstones just in case. Just in case.
You never know. It's baby step 1.5.
Just in case. And then when they go back to the stones, they've got the brilliant sounds going on. We got little baby Mandy holding her head.
Even Buck too. Buck was like,
Buck is not. He's like, this sucks.
Yeah, like this is. I was here before. This sucks.
I love
guy.
being back at the stone so often. I'm here for it.
Me too.
I think it's so freaking cool.
Outlander magic, man.
And then of course when we end the episode, it says in memory of Sinead O'Connor.
Oh.
And I thought that was beautiful. I was interested to see if they were going to do it the initial week. But obviously, like timing, it probably couldn't. It probably was already like slated in. They couldn't do it. So I thought it was really a wonderfully nice touch that they were able to do that for her in the mid-season finale.
Agreed. Totally agreed. I did not expect it that first week, just because, like you said, Mary, it like the thing's probably already been sent out. Like that's it. As a matter of fact, I think she died that Friday, right? Whatever, it doesn't matter. But like I knew that there wasn't going to be enough time. If there was ever a time to do it, it was this episode. So it was nice. It was a nice touch. Good respect for an artist that many people love. A lot of people don't like, but many people do. And someone that they worked with and collaborated with to create the soul of what this episode, what the season is trying to accomplish.
The season, exactly.
So I think that was the right move. Mm-hmm. Absolutely the right move. Not a lot happens in the future in terms of the 80s.
I mean, a lot actually happens, but
like the one thing that happens is Roger says, "Okay, I'm going."
Yeah, and
they get their clothes and they
back in time.
And they go back in time.
It's kind of a big deal.
No, but what I'm saying is, in terms of like, okay, what happened? They make a decision. They follow through in the decision.
In terms of screen time, in terms of how much we were in the 80s in this episode, very little.
Yeah,
but understandably, they just needed to make this big point
happen. Well,
yeah.
And I thought there was more to that scene with Roger and Buck, like holding arm in arm. I thought there was more to that than just, okay, we have to stick together. It was just like, here are these two people again. Like, okay, where do we belong? Mm-hmm. Do we
fathers who now both lost their kids,
right? And like they're going back. And does Buck even want to go back?
Buck's whispering, "I told you not to trust a man with 2 first names."
And the whole thing, like, and but they're family, and this was the guy that tried to hang Roger, and yet they're holding arm in arm, and they're going back. Does Roger belong in the past? Does Buck belong in the future? Like there are a lot of these things, but yet despite these contrasting lifestyles and contrasting themes, here they are going together, arm in arm.
I could just picture him be like, "Don't F this up like Jemmy did."
Yeah. So interesting, very very interesting. So that's that. So
There you go.
Yeah, that's it.
Mid-season
that's
finale,
what I got
man.
for the mid-season
It's done.
finale. I will say this. I enjoyed the episode quite a bit. The last 2 episodes were excellent. I think this last episode gave me just enough where I'm satisfied for it as a mid-season finale. Mm-hmm. But there's just enough where I'm like, now I'm ready. Like all of the stories concluded well.
Yes.
Very well, and for the thing that they were trying to tell for this first 8 episodes. Mm-hmm. Even if they considered this season 7 and then 7B was season 8, I would still be pleased. Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Because for the most part...
And that's also, like, mind you, they didn't fully know if they were going to be getting a season 8.
Yeah.
So they treated season 7 like it was going to be the finale. So they put everything they had into this,
sure.
Emotionally and, like, really trying to make it fantastic, which obviously we feel like they have done.
So there is a concern that I have for season 7B, and that is I've come to love the Max in the 80s so much that I felt like it breathed new life into Outlander, and it gave Outlander that Outlander magic again.
Mm-hmm. And we were in Scotland thanks to the Max.
Right.
But now we're in Scotland with both.
Right. So now... But now I think that there's a real opportunity here for the show to do something really cool. And that is kind of give us a greatest hits. Right? Like what Outlander is really good at. Outlander is really good at Scotland, time travel, playing with our perception of characters, memorable characters that have been sprinkled throughout the seasons.
All the bear flair.
I
mean, I think we're getting it.
And that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Like, as much as I enjoyed season 7A, I think 7B is in a really cool place, even though Roger's going back in time, and even though I've come to really appreciate the Max in the 80s, I think they're going to be in a really good place with Roger and Buck, and how do they play
bromance.
With that? Like, who is to say that they even end up...
find peanut butter?
Yeah, who is to say that they even end up at the time that they're supposed to be?
Like... And Rob Cameron, like they said, like he's how are you going to find these people in a whole bloody world?
Well, I have a great outlandish theory about this. You ready? Outlandish theory. Rob Cameron, like we know Jemmy can go through the stones. Like, but do we know that Rob Cameron can go through the stones? Like, did Rob Cameron try to go through the stones, but Jemmy was like the only person that went through?
Like if Rob just walks into a brick stone wall, and
it's like in Harry Potter,
goes,
like in Chamber of Secrets.
My gosh, when the twins go through platform 9 3/4, and then Harry and Ron try to,
and then they just run into the wall. Like, did Rob Cameron run into the wall? Where he's like, okay, let's go, kid, and the kid goes, and he's like. Hey, whoa, what the hell was that? Like, hello? Knocking on the door. Like, does that happen with Rob Cameron?
Interesting, Blake. I don't know. You're just going to have to wait and see.
Or does Jemmy even know, like, enough to go through the stones? Right? Does he even go through the stones at all? Right? Just because we saw the Tufty...
Jemmy messed it up once before.
Yeah, you might as well screw it up again.
Jimmy does not have a good track record.
No, he's basically 0 for 1 right now.
Could he be thinking about dinosaurs?
Of course he's thinking about dinosaurs. Who's to say? Who is to say that the kid doesn't think about dinosaurs, right? What 8-year-old kid isn't thinking about dinosaurs at any given time? Who's to say that he doesn't go back into, like, the freaking Jurassic Park time?
Yes!
What if he's with, like, some stegosauri?
You got a sound effect for that one.
That's right.
Stegosauri. Wow. If our little lad could hear you now, he would be clicking the shame bell. Stegosauri.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
All right, and you know what? I'll hit it.
Stegosauri.
Well, how do you say stegosaurus pluralized?
Probably stegosauruses.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I don't know either, but that sounds a lot better.
Or is it just Stegosaurus? Look at the flock of Stegosaurus out there. Either way, I think I deserve this.
Shame.
Who's to say that doesn't happen, right? Or does like Jemmy screw it up and he doesn't go through, and then Rob's just like kind of walking around with Jemmy being like, "All right, what do we do now? I didn't expect this." I am 100% positive this guy thought, damn the torpedoes, it doesn't matter. I'm going to take the kid back in time. I'm going to get the money. I'm going to change history. And then me taking this kid doesn't even matter anymore. Right? He's not going to feel the effects. But if he doesn't go through like the time, then now he's up Schitt's Creek. So like they got to figure it out. I don't know.
Very interesting.
I'm throwing it out there. That's all. So that's my outlandish theory.
Very, very interesting.
But I think obviously Roger and Buck do go through time, and I think that there's an opportunity, whether or not Jemmy and Rob Cameron did go back in time, or it's just Jemmy, or either they didn't go back in time at all. I think that there's an opportunity for Roger and Buck as like this fish out of water, like buddy cop kind of through line that they can go through Outlander's greatest hits and see like, okay, what matters to Outlander nerds? How do we relive, like almost like a Back to the Future 2 or Back to the Future 3 kind of deal, where it's like we are reliving the moments from Back to the Future 1, but we're seeing, instead of like, you know, Marty opening the door and running out and yay, I got the book, you know, like it's like we see Biff and now he's beating up on Marty from Back to the Future 2. Like I wonder if we get those kind of moments where we get to relive certain moments of Outlander that we've already seen. Right? Like I think that, and just give a different context to it. I think that would be awesome.
Love it.
So
that's a very interesting theory, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, Marvin, you got anything else you want to talk about for this episode?
No, I do not.
Mid-season finale of Outlander season 7, 7A. Nothing?
No.
We're good?
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, folks, if you thought we were going to escape this episode without hearing some of that amazing song at the end.
I don't know if we can. What's
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
YouTube's going to be mad at us.
Well, if they are, they are. If they're not, they're not. Whatever. I don't care. But
Okay.
we're for
Maybe
the podcast, folks.
We'll just lightly talk so it throws off the bots.
Yeah. So the AI doesn't recognize it.
Don't get mad.
All
at
right.
us.
I know. Let's.
We love you, Bear McCreary.
We're just doing it, and the funny thing is they're copywriting it, and we have every reason. We have every legal authority to use it on the podcast because we're discussing it, how it's used. Like it's fair use.
I think the difference is that when it's fair use, but they're able to like market, that Sony or whatever gets money from it.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, but because they're not putting out the album yet, Sony put out the album so we can use your sound effects from season 7 on our podcast. Come on.
True.
Because we all really want to hear the music.
All right, here we go.
So here we go.
Let's close it out. By the way, you're going to hear Jamie say Scotland.
That's okay.
Because I'm taking it directly from the show.
Yeah.
So here you go.
Okay, so we're just going to start talking a little bit right now to throw off the AI bots that check over the things in YouTube. And I did have some stuff to tell us what actually these lyrics mean. I got this for you, Blake. You ready?
Yes.
Okay, so
I have it on our Google Doc, by the way.
Oh, then you can read it.
I have the English translation
Yes.
of it.
I don't expect you to do the Gaelic.
It says, I'm weary of this exile. I'm tired of the strife. This is the tormenting time. I am weary of this exile. Although I'm an outlaw, no crime could be proven against me, only that I stand loyal to the king, since he had justice on his side. Bear my greetings across the sea, to the glen where I should be. Bear my sincere greetings to Sir Urain, I know it well, and to the mountain, green mountain facing it. His little daisies were clear to me. Bear my greetings with kindness to Tor Lunish of the thrushes, up and down Glen Shiel, I often felled the antlered stag there.
Aww.
So it feels very much like Jamie. It feels very much like we're returning after a long season of, being gone
and trying to get there. A whole season of trying to get there and just getting caught up in battles along the way.
Yeah.
It's a perfect song for it. I cannot wait to get this album. I will say that Bear McCreary did say news coming out soon.
Oh, okay.
On social media. So let's keep our fingers crossed.
Yes.
And put that out there in the world. But as I said earlier, Blake and I are going to be podcasting about Men in Kilts. So the next episode you'll be hearing here on Outlander Cast will be the listener feedback episode. You will also be getting a history episode from Blake soon in the near future, going through all this beautiful stuff that I sleep through.
Well, you're going to join the conversation with me. Yes, you have to.
Oh my God.
No, you have to. You want to know why?
Why?
Because you are the barometer for when I get too dorky.
Oh my God, it's so boring.
That's the point. I need you there to rein it back in.
Can I do it in my pajamas?
Yes, absolutely.
With my mug holder from Weebucks?
Yes.
Okay.
If you didn't do that, then I would be upset.
Okay. Oh my gosh. All the fellow people who love history, they're going to be like, Mary, stop it. You're interrupting.
No, it's good because, for the normal person that doesn't care about any of this, it's good that you're there because you at least translate it to the person that actually kind of does.
Okay, so we'll be doing that. And then, of course, we're continuing with the Potterverse. So if you are a fan of Harry Potter, or if there's someone in your life who loves Harry Potter, it is a family-friendly show, but it is completely full of spoilers. So just know that it's aimed towards people who are of the Harry Potter age range and above.
Oh, by the way, I'm playing another version of that song.
Okay.
That's more widely known, I guess.
Okay.
So just for those of you who are like, oh, what's this? It's the same song, just a different version.
And so keep up with Blake and I through social media channels. Make sure you head to our Facebook group if you're not already there. Just search Mary and Blake. And as I said in the beginning of the podcast, make sure you're also getting our emails. All you have to do is go to maryandblake.com. I have the hiccups, sorry.
You want some water?
No, I already drank all of mine.
Oh.
And the podcast is almost done. So it's okay. So if you go to maryandblake.com, a pop-up is going to come up. Make sure you click Outlander, but if you also want to know other things that Blake and I are involved in, you just also make sure you click the Mary and Blake one, as that is more, I send general things.
Yes.
And when Bridgerton comes back, we'll be doing Bridgerton again. We've got some fun stuff, and we especially want to thank our friends at jointhenerdclan.com who made all of this possible. This is a free podcast. People get it worldwide.
Yes.
We get emails and messages from all of you. But know that this is all thanks to you as the listeners being patrons at jointhenerdclan.com, where you can join for as little as $2 a month. So if we have been here with you through the first half of season 7, if we brought you joy, if you like any of our other podcasts, please think about joining. It's less than a cup of coffee to join, and it truly makes a difference. It helps us pay for our electricity, our website fees, our podcasting stuff. It keeps this going. We don't have major corporate sponsors. A lot of the podcasts that are big and popular nowadays are owned by these huge media conglomerates, and we are a mom and pop podcast shop who truly the donations at jointhenerdclan.com make all the difference, so we can continue to keep our content free.
And we're not there just take. We're not taking all the time. We're there giving stuff too. I mean, we just gave out all the Michael Mouse shirts.
Well, we haven't physically given them out.
No, but we gave them out. We're giving them
tallied,
out.
Yes,
and we got the whole thing. We're getting the order in.
Shirts are en route to us.
They're on the way. But we're also giving back too in terms of content, special content that's going to be there. And we do now have another goal of getting to 1,000 members at jointhenerdclan.com. And when we do hit 1,000, whenever it is, I'm going to do the next Blake's Book Club.
We're up to 960.
I think we're actually higher than that. I think we're at 960.
So if you need more Outlander in your life, just know that Blake's going to be tackling another one of the Outlander books.
So to help you get through Droughtlander, if we get 1,000 members, I will do the next Blake's Book Club whenever it is.
So exciting.
So I'm excited. I'm excited to do that.
If you're in the New England area, just a reminder, we are going to be attending the New Hampshire Highland Games, and that takes place in mid-September. And we're not doing an event there, but we are going to be there, and we're just going to be like the really tall, awkward, loud people. So we're pretty easy to find, even though there's going to be a lot of tall, loud people because it's the Highland Games for New England. So yay! But we're going to be there, and then also we're going to be at the Rhode Island Scottish Association, the St. Andrew Society Gala that is happening October 22nd.
Mary's going to be the MC.
I'm the MC for the event, and we're actually going to be doing a podcast episode with the people who are running that event. So keep your eyes and ears out for that as well, and we would love to see some of you there at the event. Blake will be donning his kilt at both events.
Yes.
So
you don't want to miss my pasty white legs. Those pasty white chicken legs. Caitlin asks on Facebook as we're closing out, are we going to be wearing the Michael Mouse shirts as part of the season 7B premiere? I love this idea. We brought this up on the listener feedback of last episode, and I totally think we should.
We will.
And it's something that we will arrange. Yes,
would love that.
We're going to do that.
All right, everybody. On that note, my name's Mary.
My name's Blake.
And you have been listening to Outlander Cast.
A mis